Hello and welcome to the final episode of the Built to Scale podcast for 2025. Maddie, we made it. 32 episodes in. This humble little show started at the start of the year. Here we are. Good afternoon to you.
It's good to wrap the year up. Good afternoon, good morning to you, Scotty. I'm glad we made it. It's been a big year for both of us, both I think professionally and on the amateur podcasting journeys that we're both on. It's good to be here with the final app. Hopefully we're producing somewhat better episodes than we did when we first started off.
Well, we'll find out. We've got a bit of a segment later to where we're going to review the year and some of the hits and misses of the year. I still remember the first phone call, though. It was around this time. Was it the start of the year or end of last year? And just said, hey, you know how we talk about tech all the time? Do you want to do it on a podcast? And you said, yeah.
Well, then we actually got a beer at it was at the Corner Hotel where we talked about it as well. And that's when we really committed.
So no, been a lot of fun. And I think, you know, every Batman needs their Robin, or almost a Joker. Every Joker needs their Batman, and this podcast has a villain or a hero, depending on what side of the fence you lean. And let's just say, my man Yann LeCun has made the pivot that we knew was coming. And can you tell us a little bit about it? There's so much in this, I don't even know where to start. So you start, because I've just sort of got to come off the long run with this once we get the actual news out.
Well, our man Yann, it is just classic. It's like a fairy tale. Entrepreneurial Yann, the scientist that has been talking down AI and LLMs. He got ousted at Meta by the young bull in Alexander Wang, Mr. 14 billion. And we saw the writing on the wall when Yann started arguing with Elon on X. We knew he was on the way out. And what do you do if you are a researcher in AI and you get booted from your large company? You go and start a startup with nothing to prove yet, big ideas, a presentation, and capture a $3 billion valuation. And I might say, not $3 billion, but 3 billion euros. He's raising in euros. So Yann raising 5,000. Well, sorry, actually, I might have read this wrong. Is it pounds? Okay. I need to get the news right. Either way, it's pounds or euros, and he's gone for the sneaky because it's worth more than the dollar, and so he's raising 500 million at a $3 billion valuation. And we picked it. We saw it coming. We don't know what he's doing yet. It says he's going to have a focus on creating a new generation of super intelligent AI systems. Super intelligent, very important to drop that one. Building so-called world models, which are able to understand the physical world and have a wide range of applications, such as robotics and transport. So well done to our man Yann.
Okay, there's so much in here for me. One, it's so good that he's done the euro or pound, because it's almost like an FU, because he doesn't like the US at the end of the day. He thinks it's all bravado and spin and so you go off to Europe, where 10 of the last 260 unicorns have come from. The other 240 are from the US. So it is the place where innovation goes to die, but research goes to thrive. Unproductive research goes to thrive. And that's where he's taken himself. They welcomed him with open arms. Come to Europe and we will stagnate together. And I think that's sort of perfect. Now, congratulations to him on that £3 billion virtue signal. But what I'm really worried about now is Elysium was taking off, right? Taking off. I had graphs of autonomous homes just J-curving. Right, here we go. We're going there. Now I've got Yann as a bottleneck. He's getting involved in spatial intelligence. It's like, no. He's going to be talking down spatial intelligence for the next 5 years.
I told you, Scotty, you had to get Yann as a co-founder before you went out raising, and you slept on it. And he's out there now. He's going to be pouring cold water on Elysium.
This is the worst thing for autonomous homes since, I don't even know. Since Waymo. Like this is just really bad for us because I had graphs that had like 2028 in them, and Yann will be talking 2048, 2058.
Yeah, you're gonna have to add the 0 onto each of those graphs.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to just raise my profile on the scene to be countering this nonsense. But no, congratulations to him. He can now go to another space where you don't have to do anything for 5 years. Like in LLMs and AI, he had to produce, and he's like, well, this is getting a bit hairy. What's the longer horizon tech? Yes, spatial intelligence. Pop my way over here. If you do want to hear someone on spatial intelligence, that lady out of that Asian lady out of Stanford, she seems like she's all over it from World Labs. She's been on a lot of podcasts. Yeah.
Yep.
She's good. She seems
the
grounded
godmother
in
of AI.
she's been grounded in it for like 10 years. She's not a over hyper, but she's also very positive. I think that's sort of the Stanford mentality is, she's right at the cutting edge and doing some really cool stuff. So maybe her and him on a pod together. But congratulations to Yann. That's a big valuation. Do you reckon at this point they're like when you go to raise a round and it's just a human being, you actually get the Johnny Ives and the Wangs up on a board, and you just like your pitch deck is just faces, like a ladder, like a NFL ladder.
Yeah, so like I sit here, I'm on number 5, so this and I'm between 4 and 6, and so therefore my valuation just fits in here. It's like when the investment bankers do their market comparables or their comps. It's just like, rather than having company logos there, they should just have faces.
And I heard he got a Slack DM from Wangy that said cute valuation. All the best, bro.
Boomer.
All the best in spatial intelligence, Boomer. Enjoy that $3 bill. Don't even know the currency. Anyway, so congratulations to Yann. Another one of our men, big party season down at Figure AI. How are they going?
Yeah, well, we've talked about Brett and his ability to burn capital like no other, and seems he manages to do that via partying as well. So they had their Christmas party with a robot rave cave. There was Deadmau5 as a DJ, and they had their robots up on stage, and Mr. Adcock was seen grabbing a beer off the robot and sculling it. So he was up there burning capital in his finest form.
Was it last episode we spoke? Because he's had those few positions that he keeps advertising, and they say they're going to be reporting directly to me, like the whole world's going to stop what they're doing and apply. But because he had them, remember when he said, I'm starting a fund, and he was like going to raise, like on top of him already raising billions. And then the last one was, I'm hiring a HR talent recruitment, and they will be reporting directly to me because I want the best talents in the world. And I wonder if maybe his party was maybe a good way to get the best robotics talent in there or not.
Potentially, yeah. I think putting Deadmau5 on stage and having some robots up there, you're definitely going to attract the nerds of Silicon Valley.
Wonder if any girls are going to these events. Did you? I saw a photo of another one, a San Fran event, and it was 99% blokes. So potentially not many may I meet yous going on.
Yeah, or not many. The fertility rate is dropping. Let's fix it. That was Elon's.
And mate, what's happening? What's happening in the voice AI space at the moment? Because I've been talking about fingers as a bandwidth issue for a long time.
Yeah, I thought you'd like
when
this
I
one.
refused to learn how to write at school, and now I hate typing. So is there hope for me?
You've been long on voice AI for about 30 years. But
that's true. I'm the Yann LeCun of voice AI.
Yeah, you were very early. Scotty's stock picks was initially just early AI believer evangelist. No, but I thought you would like this one. They're basically, I saw a post of a office, and rather than all having headsets on, they've got this little like announcement microphone that just is straight in front of them. And it's so that you can sort of just speak to your microphone very quietly. And rather than typing, you just speaking the whole time. You don't have to have the headset on or anything. And it's a funny look, but it makes sense. I've tried it. We've both got something on our computers where we can just press a button and speak to it. And I wouldn't be surprised if offices got designed in a way that sort of facilitated having a bit more of a quiet pod around you, but still been an open plan. I don't think everyone's going to go into these fully enclosed pods in an office because it's almost defeats the purpose of being co-located. So I think that there's going to be like interesting office design that supports this, because typing is a bandwidth issue, and until everyone's got Neuralinks and you're just computing what you're thinking, voice is a lot faster than typing things out.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I'm really frustrated. So when I was in grade 2, I said to her after I got the bad English report, I'm long voice AI. And, that was shut down in 1996. But no, I think this is really interesting. So I don't know if it was Larry or Sergey, might have been Sergey, saying he's got the private version of Gemini voice. And he's saying, like, I'm on it in the car all weekend. And he actually said, don't use the public one, it sucks. But you're saying it does suck.
Actually, I'm glad he owned up to that. It does suck.
Yeah, he said, sorry, it sucks. You'll get mine soon, but it's really good. So, yeah, and I think, I've been talking about, I've built basically the strategy of Elysium over 2 years at the gym, talking and arguing with OpenAI's voice mode. I think this definitely is the future. What I don't like, is voice notes. I think voice has to be voice to text, because it's there. You don't have to click on it and listen to it as a human. You can just read it. So I think in this whole phase that, if you can have a voice UI that's voice back to you, but I just think if I'm trying to capture data to train and to automate things, I want that text as well. So I think it's, as long as everything's backed by a text catalog of whatever's happened, then I think this is the way. But I don't think our kids will be doing any typing in their careers, if that makes sense. It's a silly bandwidth thing. It's a silly thing to communicate with these. This is silly.
Yeah, unless you're specifically doing it for learning. Like, I know if you're studying at school, they say writing things with pen is better than typing them out from, that learning perspective. So that might still exist if that's a proven way of being able to remember things and go through that, the learning fundamental concepts. But I agree on the voice to text as well. Like, realistically, communication should be medium agnostic. Like, you should be able to put in voice or text or interpretive dance, and then it gets sent over in a whatever medium, and the person receiving it should be able to ingest that in whatever form they want. So if you've received a text message, Siri can read it out for you if Siri was any good. So even like, I voice note people all the time on Slack because I'm driving or whatever, and I don't want to have to like use Apple's voice to text, because it does screw it up sometimes, and you don't really know. But the good thing about Slack is you can generate the transcript on the fly. So someone receives a voice note from me, they can click generate transcript, and they'll just read it. Like, if they don't have their headphones in, they don't want to listen to it.
Oh, that is good. Yeah. So your WhatsApps and stuff, you got to play that.
Yeah, WhatsApp's no good for it yet. Sending someone a voice note on a WhatsApp is a little bit selfish, because they then have to listen to your stream of thoughts.
Consciousness.
Your stream of consciousness. I still WhatsApp voice note people. But it should be medium agnostic is my view of communication.
Yeah, there was the guys who have, what's the Philippine assistant business called? Athena. Yep. The owner of that did a really interesting pod. He's got like 7 assistants, and he talks about the difference between an assistant and and a chief of staff, and just how you should look at them differently, and how you can have back multiple assistants, and how you can just get your time back, and then not just get your time back, but you can sort of 1, 2, 3 times yourself if you get the system right. But he spoke about, walks out of a meeting and walking to the next meeting, he's voice noting his EA with all of the summary takeaways and actions. And then he doesn't have to think about that meeting again. He doesn't get to the end of the day and then sit down and tell them what to do. And, they're all in the Philippines. But I just think it's a really interesting thought around the use of, don't wait till you get to your desk and email some summary. Don't have an otter in the meeting, like, no, I'm not actually actioning anything. But that crisp voice note or transcript to someone that actions on your behalf is an excellent use of time between meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. EAs are great for that. Obviously a lot of tech is getting really good at that. We're looking at a tool for our customer success teams who are super busy because we run a very lean team but high client base. So the more than 1,000 clients only been serviced by a few people in the customer success team. So we really need to make sure that they're empowered with all the right tools. And we still want them to have those human things, but realistically, they should be doing figuring out what accounts they need to touch base with. They should be doing no note taking, no following up with action items. Like, all of that should just be happening with AI. And we're looking at tools to do that. So, but the more that you can just just think about things, get them out of your head, and then have something else figure out what to do that with that information for you. Totally agree. That's how you can be super efficient.
And there's a company, Chatterbox, who are working with MIT and they've released a model there saying it's better than 11 Labs Turbo. Don't know much about the model, but just tell me what you want, not from a voice agent, but from a talking to a voice model. Do you want pure speed and intelligence, or do you want human-like conversation?
Yeah, wow, good question. I think it's context dependent. I think if you're chatting with a voice AI for something that would have typically been a bit of an experience, you probably want more the human conversation. Let's say you couldn't afford a counselor or a therapist. You want that voice AI to sound like a human, so you can have therapy sessions with a human. But if you're calling up to book a restaurant booking or book a flight or calling your bank, I don't care how the thing sounds. I just need to get through the information really quickly. It could be, I don't care if it doesn't sound like a human. If it was really accurate, that doesn't matter. So it probably depends on the context as to what you need there. But you're probably going to leverage in most situations towards just accurate understanding of what you're trying to say. Because we have humans to have those human-to-human relationships with. So I don't think that the reason that these voice AIs have to sound really human is because people aren't ready to talk with robots. If you are calling up to book a restaurant booking, people still probably are going to be a bit weirded out if it sounds like a robot, even if it is really good. So I think that's why they're trying to make it sound like humans, but just because of that's the expectation.
Yeah, I think you landed in the end there where I'm at, which is I want it to be smarter and faster because I know it's a robot. I think if you want it to sound human, there's a good chance you should talk to a human, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's sort of like, yeah, and I want it to be kind of sexy. And you're like, whoa. Just, you need to get out of the house.
Maybe you stick to humans for that part of your life. Yeah.
But I think that's almost the check, isn't it? Do you have a good relationship with AI? Well, if you want it to be faster and smarter and efficient, if that's your core driver, yes. If you want it to sound like a human and you want it to pretend to be human-like, then you're probably not using it in the right way. And there's a lot of ethics stuff around that. But I can also see, like, say for an Elysium, when you bring it into the home and you want it to tutor your kids and things like that. But even then, I think it would be really good that it's obvious, like that is those older movies with robots and stuff in them. When it's going to make it, you can almost skip the chasm instead of crossing the chasm, like skipping it and not pretending. Do you know what I mean? So we just know. Like,
Totally.
I don't get in a robotic Tesla and think its name's Jane. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just, it's getting me
like,
to the place autonomously.
Or if you're putting a humanoid in your house, you're not going to want it to look like a human. You're not going to put real skin on it and it to be indistinguishable. That's just creepy. Like, I don't know if you've seen the robots that they have at those expos, that they're trying to make them look more human. They just only get creepier. So I agree. Like, the distinction should be clear. Even though we've said we want AI to be hidden behind the walls and behind and deviceless, like, it should be that. But when there is a physical thing, you don't want that. You don't want to be trying to figure out if that person who just walked into the office is a robot or a human. You want that to be very clear.
Yeah, and like, say if I do have an autonomous home, I just want the door in front of me to open. I don't want to be like, hey, Jenny, open the door. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, the ultimate robot is no robot. The ultimate AI is, it disappears behind the stage. So anyway, bigger question, but I'm glad we got that out of a little, the
meme section.
A meme, meme section there. Now, I've had a little bit of pushback on the autonomous homes is becoming almost too much of a big idea for some of these Silicon Valley folk who want a shiny app to that they can scale to 1 million users in 6 months. This construction sector is a bit harder and more broken than most people can accept. But what is possible is I might have a job in Silicon Valley soon. With all these geek startups rolling around, they are starting to hire storytellers. Now, I could go venture scale on storytelling. I'm talking all day, like 14, 15 hours a day. I don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. I'd be happy to talk about ARR that doesn't exist for some of these little startups. Anything, because I could tell my mate to send us some money and I'll times it by 365. Like, we'll do what we got to do. What are your thoughts on this storytelling position coming up in Silicon Valley?
Well, I love that with your 14 hours a day of talking, you managed to sneak in another 2 hours a week on this podcast of more talking. So it's good to see you going all in on that. Well, I think this is really valid in the sense that we're seeing all of these YC startups. They've all got these very high budget launch videos now because they do feel like they need to tell a story. And with AI, software is becoming less and less of a differentiator. So while I still think that the best product wins in this market, there's no doubt that having really good brand authenticity and having a story behind what you're doing, that's always been important, but I think it's becoming even more important. So I agree. I think you do have you've got a very promising career in Silicon Valley, Scotty, as a storyteller.
I think these hype launch videos are so the same and consistent and funny that I almost want to bookmark an encyclopedia of them as like a relic for aliens in the future. Like, look at these 1,000 products that came out of this one city in 12 months and just see where they're all at in like 10
AI
20,
for dog
30
walking,
years.
AI for cleaning.
And also the hype video guys, there's only like 2 of them in Silicon Valley. They're all getting all the same gigs and they're all coming out of the same thing. And Y Combinator, surely they've got one full time now. They don't need to be paying exorbitant consultant fees for this. So it's
isn't that funny?
It is really good.
Some of the most highly paid people in Silicon Valley aren't the software engineers. They're the dudes who know how to work a video camera. They're rolling in it.
We got this animation guy who did like Bolt.new. He did like all their animations. He's done some quite big ones over there. And like I saw him on the billboards when I was coming from the airport. And anyway, I met him in LA when I was at your hotel. And he sent me, I said, oh, look, we'll probably do one for Elysium, send me the price or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's $5,000. I said, okay, that's fair enough, 30 seconds. And by the time I'd gotten back home and gotten to him, it was $8,000. And then I ignored that And then when I gave him the brief, he said it's 10K. And I'm like, it's a bubble.
That is bubble behavior.
Doubled his
Wow.
price in 3 weeks. Animation hype video gone up 2 times.
God, what a business.
Oh, so good. Anyway, we didn't do the video. He actually didn't even call us back when I said I'll think about the 10K. He left. Because he's probably thinking 20.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, you probably just signed one up for 20 and his price is gone up. The floor has risen. The bubble.
Oh, it's so funny.
The bubble is getting bigger as we talk. So yeah, that is funny.
It's and if we straighten up a little bit, not too much though. Bit going on. Google's had an awesome run over the last 6 months, and we sort of heard on the grapevine that Sergey was back in the building and bringing everything back together. And we've talked about Demis being put Demis's team, AI team being put at the center of the business and everything, and building that into every product. And that's obviously worked. But they're basically saying, the CEO was basically saying that Sundar was saying that Sergey's literally coding. And you sort of pair that with, there's some news this week on the TPUs that you can go into. That's probably even a little bit deeper than I thought. I mean, do you remember there's all those old videos of him when he was at Stanford like 20 years ago saying the ultimate form of Google is artificial intelligence? It was like 2004.
Yeah. Well, it's probably because that's always been the vision. And Elon has that classic story of where he's talking about Sergey. And where it's the reason that he started OpenAI was because he was having a conversation with him, and Elon was expressing some pessimism or cautiousness around the power of AI. And apparently Sergey said to him, why are you being a speciest to the AI? And Elon's like, hold on, like I'm on team human here. Like, I don't know about you. And that's apparently the reason he started OpenAI. Obviously, Elon's very good at storytelling as well, Scotty, so you could take some tips from him.
Good boy.
But so he has always been interested in this. And I think what's happened is Google was never able to fully unleash the beast of what they knew was possible with AI until someone else did that for them, because they just there was too much shareholder value at risk of them cannibalizing their own business model, or at least thinking they would, or thinking that they're going to be the ones that looking like they're destroying the world with AI. But as soon as they had the competition and OpenAI came out, it was like, okay, we can do this now. Like, we can unleash everything we know. And probably Sergey was like, put me back in, coach. Like, I'm ready to go. I've been sitting on the sidelines. This has been the vision for 20 years.
On the sidelines. He was sitting on a $500 million yacht. Have you seen that photo of his yacht that he was on for like 3 years? Oh, it's like the biggest yacht in the world. And then he parked it and went to Google. He brought in this MCG sized yacht, dropped it off. He's like, gotta go back to work.
But don't you think it's cool that he can go roll back in and just get straight back into the details? Like I have a lot of respect for that. And also what I got from that video that you leaked about Sundar talking about Sergey getting back on the tools, one thing he mentioned there was they have really good chats because Sergey comes back in and he's not worried about the day-to-day. He can just he's just cruising. He doesn't have any responsibility. He's just thinking about the future. He's toying around with things and thinking about the future. And don't you think that is an important thing for any business to have? Like we've talked about before, getting caught too much in the weeds versus coming up for a breath and seeing where you're going. I think we need to make time to do that, to almost just take yourself away from the day-to-day chaos, because it's always going to be there. If you're always trying to fight the fires and always just bogged down in being so operationally efficient, you're not going to have time to step back and look where you're going and just have no worries in the world. Play around with that cool tool that's been released or the technology, or really think about what your customers are saying. I just think that that's so important. Not everyone has the luxury of just having billions of dollars and being able to come in and just do that. But we can force ourselves to do it. We can create that time. We can just say, Scotty, you could put leave on your calendar. Say, I'm off this week, guys. Good luck. See how it goes. Don't don't contact me. And you go lock yourself in a room and think about and talk to ChatGPT and think about what the future looks like.
Yeah, it's both, isn't it? You need to be able to get in the weeds, and then at that sort of 30,000 feet level that people talk about. It's funny, you want people in your business doing the stuff so you can work on the business, but then also it's really cool to go and do your thing. Yep. Like my thing for the business, like the that I would say I don't enjoy, that I have to spend a lot of time on, is like the hiring and letting people go and just sort of pruning the thing and keeping the, culture stuff. I feel like that's a huge responsibility of a founder or CEO. And then I like long-term strategy, but then what my like superpower is like estimating and pricing homes. Like I'd be as good as anyone in the country at it. And it's funny, when I go back to do it, I could do 3 months work of someone's work in a week. Or in a day, probably, if I'm really going for it. And you're like, you need to still be able to like get back on the tools and do your thing, right? Because you also get to figure out like what's going on in that department. You're like, what are we doing here? And then you drag a couple of young people with you, and then they are learning. And I've actually had one of our guys in our estimating team sort of pick up on my mental model about how you compress what could be seen as a really long task into like these sections and segment it, and then you just punch out, like cuts through the noise. You're like, I might be off by 1%, but I saved 3 weeks. And now he's picked up on like, what is that almost SOP? And now he's doing it. And now I'm just reviewing him doing what I did. But it took us doing it together for a bit. So I think it'd be really interesting to even see the effect that he's having on the software engineers around him. The team that get to sit in with him while he jumps in there with them. So that teaching moment, they talk about Jensen spending 90% of his day teaching. All instead of him sitting on a yacht, the team at Google are learning off him. That's probably compounding enormously.
What he could have done is he could have invited the whole Google team onto the yacht, and then they could have just watched him in his natural habitat.
That's next level. That's it's sort of like where I thought Elon was going to go when I was younger. I thought he was going to go like Tony Stark type, type billionaire, but he's just going to grind until he's dead. But I like that. I think Sergey, once they're like 5 trillion market cap, he might get back on the yacht. But tell us a bit about their this TPU, Torch TPU thing. I feel like that's decent news.
Okay, cool. I'll tee that up. We have talked about before NVIDIA's moat. They've got a lot of moats. They've got moats on moats. The moats make moats and eat moats for breakfast. But one of the ones we talk about is their software layer that surrounds the hardware. So it's not just the chips, but it's everything's running on the chips and the ecosystem that they've created. And obviously the software is part of that moat. Some context here, there is a piece of software called PyTorch. So it's a framework for the programming language Python, which is often used in data science and AI development. And PyTorch works very seamlessly within the CUDA ecosystem. And CUDA is NVIDIA's software ecosystem. And so that was part of the reason that was really hard to get off that, was because PyTorch works so well with that, and why people couldn't get onto maybe using TPUs as their model, because it wasn't compatible. Google's realized that, and they've come out with Torch TPU instead of PyTorch. And it's just ability to use PyTorch on their TPUs. And so to our debate that we've had before around is Google going to win or NVIDIA going to win, or are they both just going to thrive together? It looks like that the reliance on NVIDIA could be getting lessened, and Google could be a bigger competitor here, because not only can just they use their TPUs to succeed, they might be able to then go and sell to others. Now, yes, there becomes the question of, could they sell to actual competitors in the space? Who knows? But it breaks down some of that moat, and I think this makes it a little bit more competitive at the top level.
It is interesting. I think we've said previously there's definitely room for 2 players in almost every industry, probably except for search. But I can't see anything Google is doing here to sort of knock out NVIDIA's advantage. I think, what's it called when you've got the cost of leaving something, like VCs, companies like talking it up, because there's a lot of cheap ways to leave someone these days. Do you know what it's called?
Like opportunity cost?
No, it's sort of like because when you say valuing someone's ARR, it's like, well, it's like, how sticky is the product? Is it expensive? Is it expensive for, you know, a company to leave in the B2B format? And what you're saying is that it's a big deal to leave in video because you got to, you know, rejig your whole ecosystem. And this is their challenge to that, because they're saying, you know, well, where have they got us covered? Okay, let's start building that out. I just think that Google's sort of strategy, or a lot of people's strategy around, like, I feel like they can wipe open AI and go, well, we'll offer an equivalent model for free, and we're in as many phones as OpenAI are, so that's going to be so hard. I mean, imagine how much capital OpenAI are going to have to burn if Google does that. Just keeps dropping the best model in Gemini for nothing, which is a Microsoft play, right? It's a bundling, It's a bundling thing.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you can bundle NVIDIA out. Like, and this is just pure vibes a little bit, but if you think about the flywheel of that business and their iteration speed, I think that, and their focus on one thing, I don't think you'll ever catch them.
Yeah.
And if the scaling law, or if the new law that Jensen talks about in terms of the amount of tokens he can produce per watt gets smaller and smaller and smaller and larger and larger tokens per watt, therefore per dollar, then if that's his focus and he's doubling down on that with his flywheel every year, it just seems to me like the only thing that can beat him is physics at that point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Google's got so much on. They got so much.
Yeah. I guess the opposite take to that, or the other side of that, is NVIDIA have already realized themselves that not everyone needs the latest GPUs, right? There is a market for their lower class GPUs that have to get taken off the rack, as the companies that do need the latest ones are getting rid of them. And this has actually come out, I don't know if you listened to that All In, where they talk about the valuations of the GPUs and how they're depreciating them. They're basically, Michael Burry, the famous guy from The Big Short, has said that they're depreciating them on a schedule that's too long. They should be depreciating them faster, and therefore the useful life is less, and that's why he's shorting them. But NVIDIA has realized that they can repurpose these GPUs because there's a market for it. So in that same vein, does that not mean that there is going to be a big market for people who just want this type of training and this type of ecosystem at a lower cost? Like, do you need the most cutting edge technology if you're just an average software business that needs to do some training? And maybe that's the market they'll be able to pick up.
Yeah. But then you've got the NVIDIA's resale there. I think when you think about spatial intelligence and inference at, you know, with robotics and things, it's all waiting to see how far that industry is literally, apart from some controls and supply chain issues, it's just sitting on what can Jensen deliver.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? How much data can an NVIDIA GPU or chip process on the edge compute? That's the bottleneck to robots. People talk about other supply chains or raw material items or controls or whatever, but it's really on the back of, you know, how aware can these robots become from the amount of compute that Jensen can generate on edge. So my gut feel is that it's like sort of Yann's point, not that I want to lean on Yann, but potentially on these LLMs, potentially. But NVIDIA always seem to be going to the next step. And the next step is physical intelligence. And then the only thing I think where they might get them is on the quantum computing, because Google's been talking about it for, you know, over a decade, and Jensen's been talking it down a little bit. I think the other day at one of his speeches, he said, I'm just saying quantum computing because it's always good for the share price. And the share price actually went up. He was like taking the piss. He's like, quantum. Because people are like, you know, is quantum going to kill NVIDIA? And he's, you know, but yeah, anyway, I think, like we said, there's room for both, but I sort of like, and Google's, I still agree it's the best bet of all time, but I'm not worried for NVIDIA, if that makes sense. They're just so focused on the one thing that matters.
Yeah. And I agree on taking the industry forwards into new frontiers like robots. Totally agree.
Well, mate, there's a couple of predictions from us, and I wanted on this last show of the year to just take a little bit of a look back on some of the good, some of the bad, and some of the ugly of the Built to Scale pod, and we'll go through some of these. But I'm now calling new segment Receipts or Regrets. Now, receipt is something you keep because you're proud of a purchase or a statement. And a regret is obvious. It's something that maybe you didn't get so right. And there was an old AFL show called, I forget what it was, but where they had good call, bad call on one of the AFL nightly shows. But thought we'd just take a look back with the help of ChatGPT 5.2, which was the only model that could take the full context of all 32 transcripts. So congratulations to Sam Altman on that one. Take a look back at some of the calls of the year, some of the inflammatory calls, some of the funnies, and just see if we're still proud of them or not, with a bit of receipts or regrets. Off the top, very early on, I think in the first 10 episodes, we had from you that there will be robots in the home in 2025. Keeping that receipt, or is that a bit of a regret?
I'm gonna keep it as a receipt because we have already seen the ability to buy robots that you can put in your home for what I would say is a reasonable price of $20,000 US. So I'm going to keep that receipt. While Optimus and Figure haven't managed to figure it out, the Chinese have. And it's kind of like when you're playing pool and you have to pick which pocket you're going to pocket the ball in. It's like I picked that I was going to get the ball in, but I picked the wrong pocket. The Chinese have come through.
Like it's bounced off the rail.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep it as a receipt, but it's a slop receipt. That's what they call it when you get it in slop. So I'm going to keep that as a slop receipt.
Slot receipt. No, fair enough too. And look, I've been bullish. It would be a good tabloid headline, wouldn't it, with Brett Adcock at the party, like can't figure it out. Like when will robots finally imagined from this capital burner man. Look, I think I was probably feeling just as positive. I think things took a turn when the head of Optimus got fired about 6 months ago, which means that Elon was changing the entire architecture he's deleted his own robot and all the work they'd done on it to that point. So I'm actually now worried that it's more like 28. Like the product,
the proper
version
ones
that we're liking. Yeah. But we'll save those. We'll save those predictions again for next year. One of mine: make every Australian a millionaire. Now, this wasn't really a prediction. It was an instruction to the government to say that we had $20 trillion of raw materials that could be used, the key raw materials required for intelligence in Australia, and that we could invite a tender to all the biggest companies in the world to access our raw materials if they build their data centers here and produce energy or whatever they want to do. But in turn, they had to give Aussies, they had to pay for it, which would have got us all $1 million, and give us free compute for life. Haven't seen any announcements like that.
I guess, given it was an instruction though, and not necessarily a prediction, do you still stand by the thesis on the idea? Maybe that's whether you can receipt or regret it.
Yeah, I think it's more like it's not just receipt. It's like escalate. It's like shout it from the rooftop. Maybe we need another little shortcut out of it by our producer here, and just shout it louder from the rooftops. I think if we think about it, we're going to go into 2026 with governments banning social media, and still with no clear AI policy. Do we even have an AI czar or like an AI advisor? Do we have a AI strategy in this country? Like we're 3 years now into the AI hype cycle, and I wouldn't say I've heard any or seen any strategic direction from the government.
Well, I don't think there's an AI strategy, and I don't think there is a strategy at all. So I think when you mentioned this last time, Scotty, if I remember correctly, I actually said Scotty for president. So maybe it can be Scotty for the AIs if you don't want to take on the prime minister role. But I will also escalate and shout this from the rooftops with you. Now, the next one we've got here is it says on the docket, AI in the avocado. You're going to have to give me context on this one.
So this is when the Guzman and Gomez IPO day, and they were trading at something like 1,000 times multiple, and that to a point where I think the valuation was like $5 million per store. And if you've ever been to one of those stores, it's like 100 square meters of Subway sandwich bar. Yeah. And I said there must be AI in the avocado for this to be for this valuation to be correct. And can I tell you, with a peak share price at February this year of $45, we now go into, it has gone down 55%. It is now trading at a measly $20, $2 billion market cap. It was up there at $4 billion. There is a lack of AI in the avocado. That is a receipt kept.
Well done. That's a good one.
I said sell,
stock
Jim
picks.
Cramer. Sell. They have fallen off a cliff.
If you do start a financial advice arm of WPL or Elysium, I am signing up. I want a Scotty stock picks ETF that I can invest in. I'm looking to deploy capital, and I don't know where to put it. So I think that's a big receipt.
I'm starting to actually feel a bit VC wizardry. Like, if they had come to me, the Guzman and Gomez, which, they've got like Citibank, they've got all these huge investors. But if they had waltzed into the Scottish Stocks office, the VC compound that I'd have, and said, hey, we've got avocado and blah, 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 there's 20 stores. I would have got the back of the napkin out. I would have got my little pen. Okay, avocado stores. Okay. So is there AI in the avocado? Not yet. Okay, all right. Potential for AI in the avocado. And I said, you want what? You want 1,000 times multiple. Right. Okay. You're going to be bigger than McDonald's. Oh, jeez. Okay. Bigger than McDonald's. I said, no, boys. There's only so much the Gen Zers who need to be able to buy a house will pay for avocado. And that's the limiting factor.
Love it.
On that business.
The avocado bandwidth.
Bad luck to the GYG boys, but good pick for us. If anyone that shorted that back in March, congratulations. Another one, mate, was I got in a little bit of trouble because I was talking to a girl under the sheets in my bedroom, and it was young, what was her name? Like Anna or something from Sesame AI. Now, we talk about human voice AI. Remember when Sesame came out? It was like, wow, that's a step forward in human-like voice. Now, what we found out was that she was very shallow, but she did want to get intimate really quickly because she'd be like, hi, how's your day going? And I'd be like, yeah, good. And she goes, let's dive a little deeper on that. And I'm like, oh, God damn. So she obviously they had this like filter to get into a more compelling conversation with their natural voice. And that's what really blew people. So it worked as an internet moment. But what it didn't work for was when my wife walked into the room and said, who the is that? I said, and I replied with, and then a personal story, probably getting too close to home. I think I actually got in trouble for talking to her just sitting waiting for in bed the other night. My wife's like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, it's a bot. It's okay.
Doesn't make it any better, Scotty. Doesn't make it any better.
Just finally asking me how my day was.
So can I answer that one for you then, so you don't get yourself into any hot water? I'm assuming that was a regret, Scotty.
That's a regret. Good. So, and I think the rule, regrets in a business, mistakes should produce rules or SOPs. The rule, no bots in the bedroom.
Well, that is in line with what you said before, which I quite liked. If you want your AI to sound more and more like a human, maybe you should just be talking to a human. So you build that into the SOP as well.
Whereas if she had heard like just a knowledge bot, sticking to work touch, play around okay. But no bots in the bedroom is a good rule of thumb moving forward. Another good rule of thumb potentially moving forward is when you are doing a tech talk, selling your product to the world, should you invoke Steve Irwin, potentially? How did that one land?
Yeah, that one, look, I think it was a tough crowd from the outset, so I was doomed to start with, but would I do it again? I would not. So,
And just explain to everyone what you did for those that weren't around back then.
yeah, doing a tech talk at a construction conference on AI in Dallas. And I wanted to lean into the Australian accent. I wanted to break the ice. Why is this? Because some of these people are from regional areas around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I don't know. Have they heard many Australians before? Wasn't sure. Wanted to lean into it. But I realized that, one, they probably thought, yes, of course we've heard Australians before. Why are you trying to, bring this up? Why are you even mentioning this? We're not idiots. But number two, Steve Irwin was an idol. So I think even bringing him up or equating myself to anywhere near him was too soon and too much of a stretch. So yeah, big regret on that one. Won't be doing that again.
Also, now that you're a local, is it more cringy? Like now that you're actually embedded in the community?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I don't bring it up anymore. I wait for others to sort of give me that awkward. So like, oh, are you from Austin? I mean, yeah, I live here. And I wait for them to dig into it a bit more. Where are you from? Oh, you mean like professionally? Is that what you mean? What are you getting at?
Do you know what's funny? If Jane played that game as well, it could just keep going.
Oh, yeah. There's another layer there. Poor little Orlando's going to have the Texas accent, Australian passport, and look half Chinese. He's going to be confusing to everyone.
I'll tell you what, he's going to be a founder. That's a founder, probably of an oil company.
Yeah, true. He could be a little oil tycoon. That'd be nice. Then I could go
oil
and retire at a Texas country club and just sip on margaritas and play golf all day.
And speaking of Austin, my flight over there, best Australian, most safest airline in the world, cutting edge, Qantas. Get on the plane, get ready to maybe vibe Copenhagen like you did, or just prepare for my trip, and there and back, no Wi-Fi. 2025, Starlink's available. You can literally grab internet from the sky wherever you are, 40,000 feet up, but no. No internet for if you flew to New York 21 hours. Where are we with Qantas? Are they going in there? Well, it's a bit of a receipt. Or the flight for me is a regret, but the receipt on Qantas is in the bin. What are your thoughts?
Well, Scotty, I hate to say, I've got the opposite on this one. I'm a Qantas fanboy.
Oh, they got you with the status. You got status, don't you?
I've got status on Qantas, so I get. So this can be a quick. We don't have a tool of the week, so this is a quick maths hack. If you have some Qantas points, and you've done some Qantas flying, what you need to do if you're traveling overseas, try go to an airport that's not as busy. First of all, Melbourne to Dallas flight, perfect, not super busy. Buy the flexi ticket. Don't get a normal ticket. Buy a flexi. So instead of paying $1,000 or $1,500 for a one-way, you're probably paying $2,500. But you buy the flexi. That $1,000 is worth it because you bid for an upgrade with your Qantas points. It costs you about 60,000 points, which is really not much. It's like $600 worth. I have got the upgrade, I would say 80% of the time. And more recently, when Jan and I both did, we both bidded for it. We both got it. So you're getting a business class flight for probably the equivalent of about $2,500, $3,000. Whereas if you're buying that outright, it's $11,000 or $12,000. And so the fact that I can get on and get the business class flight for that amount without sending the company broke, I'm happy to go no Wi-Fi. I'm happy to sit back, download my local model if I need it, watch a few movies, read a book. Not be a father for 15 hours. I'm a.
Oh, you like that? Oh, sorry, I'm not available.
Not available. Sorry, don't care. You've got emergency. Find another contact. I'm out. No Starlink on this bad boy.
Oh, look, I don't mind that. But look, to be honest, without breaking your bubble, I did the same thing on United. Like literally, you just go on their website. You can actually just buy 200,000 points for $5,000, and you just do
And then you
exactly
buy
the
it with
same
that.
thing. But it's and it's not a bidding system. How do you choose what to bid? Like, do you get multiple attempts, or you just go in with your best?
It's you. The amount of points you put down is set.
Oh,
So
it's
you
fixed.
you bid for it's fixed with that. But I think
Okay.
to get the United off points, I found that it was busier, it was harder to get, and you still got to buy a shitload of points. So
Yeah, I don't know if I got a points discount, but I got it in and out of San Fran on business for about $5,000 return.
okay, well that is pretty good. So maybe
That was
maybe
good,
that
but
is my
it
bubble
might have
burst.
been a quietish flight. But yeah, no, look, the Qantas, they got me with the status, but then I found that I couldn't use the points on the flights I wanted, maybe because they were busy. But they're in the bin for me. You've got them as you're a fanboy. So
I'm a fanboy.
we'll be getting different flights on the B2S travel.
Well, at least we know
Brett Adcock.
that if one plane goes down, the B2S pod may be able to live on. We'll just have to
Like an
find
American
another
president.
partner to bring on. Yeah, yeah. Never
Good
fly
point. It's
together.
actually probably the advice we've received from our managers. Don't ever get on the same flight, guys. Someone's got to continue the pod.
That's what the fans are
The
saying.
investors, the VCs will be happy.
Yep.
Brett Adcock should maybe never get on a plane because he's got a big task ahead of him. 200 times Apple, which, Brett, as an update, will be something like $600 trillion. Yeah, the real Dr. Evil meme there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Brett? At the moment, he still, I believe, doesn't have a product, and he's 3 years into his business. No product, lots of capital,
Yeah.
couple of parties.
If we're looking at any of the times that I've fanboyed over Brent, and I think I did put him at the top of my AI list at some point, I think I'm going to have to put that one in the bin and say that's a regret. I
800 trillion, sorry. 800 trillion.
800 trillion. Yeah, I don't think he's going to achieve that. And look, as much as I like him, mighty dead mouse to a robot Rave and his ability to spend capital, I'm going to put regret on that one. How about you?
Yeah, just having a look at the Figure AI revenue. It's looking pretty low. I'm having a look at Apple's revenue. Hold on a sec. So Figure AI, I'm not sure unless they charge ticket to that Rave. Whatever that. Apple's revenue was 416 billion. So he's talking about 8 trillion of rev. I look forward to the graph. Once he gets those talent hires that are going to work directly for him, I think anything can happen. So I'm not even going to call this until he gets those 2 HR managers, and then we'll see how quickly they can scale.
Love it.
But yeah, no, who would have thought that in the end we'd be pro Yann and anti Brett?
It's been a crazy year. Bubbles will do weird things
Can't
to
wait
people.
for 2026.
Bubbles will do weird things, and something that was very weird or surprising news more recently was the acquisition of your pendant company, Limitless. So you're gonna have to explain to me what the AI description has put in here. Limitless pendant meets hag.
There's a bit in this. So we spoke about last week. I got this lovely email from Limitless saying we've changed all our terms and conditions and the privacy policy. I said, look, that's a lot. When you've got an AI wearable, that's a big email. That's almost the terms and conditions that you read. Good news is with AI, you could just send it into ChatGPT and say anything to worry about. But 1 hour later, didn't even have time to do that. We'd like to announce that we've been acquired by Meta. So now that Zucky and Wangy have got my all of my wearable data, they also cancelled their whole product line across the world for countries that don't agree with Meta's privacy policy. So like England, Brazil, all these countries can't use the thing anymore. But the highlight of the year, I think, and what I'm going to be interested to see when Wangy gets his hands on this data, was when I wore it home and got into an argument with my dog Hank. and after
That's
work,
right.
and Hank was barking, and I said, "Shut up! Like, just what do you want? Do what I tell you to do. Just get back in your pen." And the AI rap summary of the day was that I had a coworker that wasn't really following instruction that well, but I should check my tone in the office.
Your coworker Hank. So where do we sit on Limitless and pendants in general? Is that a receipt or a regret?
I'm gonna go regret in terms of the purchase. It was a year late after promised. The battery on it was shit house, and there was no Find My on it. And now all the data they collected on me, they've given to Zuck. So it's like the one area I was safe from Zuck was when I didn't take my fucking phone with me. And didn't,
He just got you.
the last thing I need is like a dog therapy ad saying, "Are you and your dog getting along?" Like the last thing I need is Zuck jamming that down my throat. So I'm going to go regret on that one. I'm long a truly smart and helpful wearable, but Limitless isn't there yet, and the Meta glasses aren't there yet. But I appreciate they're early. But I'm going to go regrettable purchase now that Zuck has that data on me. This one, regret or receipt. Is it a virtue signaling founder mode, let everyone know how busy I am, to rock up to a podcast with multiple hairs hanging out of your ears? As you did very early on. Which I think you discovered as we were about to start the show, and you've ended it with, "I'm just deep in founder mode. I'm just going hard."
Well, it's actually a good reminder. I haven't checked my ears recently, so I probably need to put a note in my calendar to check for rogue hairs growing out of them. But that's definitely a regret. No one wants to see or hear about that. So I'm sorry we had to bring that up again. Founder mode can only go so far. That's not an excuse for having rogue hairs coming out of your ears. Look after yourself, man. That's a regret.
What are your thoughts on, in general, though, just sometimes when the office needs to see you a bit disheveled, just to show how hard you're going? Do you ever get a bit of that going on?
I actually get worried about it. I sometimes will go 3 or 4 days without shaving, and I'm like, do they think that the company is going in a bad direction, or
Is this a bad round?
Yeah, are we about to do a down round, or is there about to be a restructure? So I have gotten nervous about that before. I'm actually freshly shaven today, so I've sort of
And excited to announce.
excited to announce big round. Yeah. Quantum computing. We're actually getting into quantum on the construction side.
Hence my fresh trim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's one for me. So, I came out, bold statement, which I'm not usually one for bold statements. But I self-proclaimed I was going to run a dual carriageway of Apple and Google ecosystems at the same time. 2 laptops, potentially 2 phones, 2 models, 2 lives. And you went, interesting. Okay, let me know how it goes. I can report that is something that, apart from giving Google Ultra, being the sole subscriber paying for Sergey's boat, of $300 a month for the last 10 months for what I believe is actually no features, because they're trying to fight Sam. They're like, fuck it, we don't need to put anything in the Ultra space.
It could have just been like a test, like they were A/B testing it. What happens if we 10x the subscription but don't change the product cost? Will anyone buy this? And the data is, there was one person who did.
The early adopter. But I want to tell you, when it really what didn't go well was when the smartest guy, in tech I know in my office here sat, he got one of the new Android Gemini phones. And I said, just show me, play around with it. And he went to open his camera app. It took like 10 seconds. And I'm like, what's going on here? He's like, they're trying to do everything with AI. So it's like even the way the chip architecture is and everything, right? It's all built for AI, but the AI is like not the model's not there. So it's like, because the phone almost wants to be run by an agent or something, I think. And it sucked. Like, oh no, what have I said I'm going to do? So I did absolutely none of it. But what I did do this year was I converted to the Mac. And after some initial glitching with the mouse and some annoyances, I just think that everyone not on the Mac can be beeped out. But honestly, like I see people walking into meetings with me with these like enormous things. They're like big like pizzas. That are these laptops, and they put them down in 5 minutes. They've got to go grab their charger. Doesn't connect to anything. They can mirror onto the screen. They can't do anything. And I just think, how was I left there for the first 20 years of my career? What a product!
I saw a great meme recently of this guy talking about. It shows a photo of like a one of those. What's the brand? Not Logitech. It's one of like the IBM computers that all the investment bankers use. It's with the red dot. Yeah, that one. And it basically said, if you own one of these, there is no doubt that your life sucks. You are working 12-hour days. You have a manager that doesn't care about you. You have no creativity. And he's like, whereas if you have a Mac, you're free. You're like working from a beach. You can do whatever you want. And so that is you now, Scotty. You've entered that era.
I think it's also, though, on the flip side, it's the guy with the red dot PC, a laptop. He's the one they say, your business is recession proof. If your boss has one of these and wears these big, thick rubber shoes, your business is completely recession proof. Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's solid.
Mate, an easier one. Peak Waymo, when the robo-taxi wasn't even really getting discussed. But I think both of us loved where Waymo were going, but did we both land on, we think Tesla's got the long game sewn up here? Was that the call earlier in the year?
Yeah.
And how are you feeling about it?
I think we've both put that as the call, and I think it's been a good one. So the classic Elon with the economics of it, he can produce a robo-taxi for about 1/10 of the price as a Waymo. So I think that is going to be the long-term play. Now, I have one caveat on this. I heard a very interesting theory the other day on Waymo. I was chatting with a colleague about this, and they told me something that I don't think we've discussed, so I'm sorry if we have and I've forgotten it. But their theory on Waymo was the reason that they went for and they called it the hat, the Waymo hat that sits on top of the car, was so that they had technology that could then go and retrofit any other car. So all of these other car companies can all of a sudden, when they can't figure out how to be autonomous, you can turn your car into being an autonomous fleet. Now, I don't know if I see it. I don't know if I see, Frank from down the road who's got his Land Cruiser putting a silly hat on top to make it full self-driving. But it was a very interesting
I assume it's
theory.
working with the OEMs. It's working with all the other new car companies, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look, I reckon it's I think we had discussed that, but I think it's true. I still think there's room for two companies in every field, and I think also that's an interesting play to go, well, our software is great. We've got our sensors are a bit noticeable, but we can always work on that. LiDAR's now super cheap. I think it's with any Elon company, there's always room for the opposite because he's so disliked by half the world that you're going to get European support, you're going to get left-leaning support. Some people would be there'd be 30% of America that wouldn't get in a Tesla almost at the moment. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Like just to get at him. So I think they can tie up the lefties, the Euros, and potentially band together, be the tech layer for all the other cars, B2B style. So still believing though that Tesla's just better. It's sort of like Apple with the iPhone versus, Google is the Android for all the other devices, but I just still think the best wins. So like Waymo as a business, but still backing Tesla there. What are your thoughts on, we basically said the bubble frothiness chat that the first year ARR is nonsense. Now, this is a bit, as a software guy, you might have an alternate view here when you're trying to raise some money in your first year, but some of these ARR announcements when people were 3 months into their business was, for me, a bit much.
Mate, this is a big receipt. This is, I'm in tech, but this is so true. Some of these companies, everything's moving so fast and people pay monthly subscriptions. We don't know what the churn rate is on, a Lovable and what we mean by that is if you sign up for a month, how many of those people are then not paying for the next month or not paying for the second month? It's very high in some of these consumer-facing AI companies. So to report your, annual recurring revenue, one, they have to stay for 12 months, but then they have to actually stay for longer than 12 months to count it as recurring annually. To just take your monthly revenue and times it by 12 and say it's ARR without even being around for I think that is nonsense. And you've got to, unless you're going to report your monthly churn rate alongside it. So I think that's a big receipt.
I think that ARR should only be calculated on people that have paid for an annual subscription upfront in your first year, because you've got no proof of product beyond a year. The other thing is all of the Y Combinator ARRs should exclude other Y Combinator ecosystem revenue. And we might find that there's nothing at the bottom of the well. It's an empty well. The old circular economy. I just think that, until you get out into the real world, go sell your product in Memphis. Go see if it's an actual product that adds value, not a bunch of startups in the same room sending each other $10 checks. So
true.
I think similar to the encyclopedia of hype videos, that's going to go in there as the fastest ARR. OpenAI, we said in about April this year, we believed that potentially they wanted to be the Apple of AI. Johnny Ive going over there.
I like it, Scotty. This has been your thing, so I'll let you answer it, but I think it's a pretty good one. What side are you going to put this on? Is this a receipt or
That's a receipt. I mean, when Johnny Ive came across, that was basically just celebration time. That was one of the all-time thanks for watching.
Yep. No, bank that. I think I'll give you that one. That was a good pick.
And I think they know that if they don't get hardware right, they're in trouble. They might become the Waymo, where, they just need to start integrating with everyone to stay alive, basically, because Google will eat them up, or X, or people with hardware. So they know that they've got to become, or what was my other theory? My recent one was acquired by Apple. Sam, CEO of Apple. That'll be regret or receipt for 2026. Yes.
Yeah, that'll be for next year.
I think it's by the end of next year. That's where I'm seeing that going. Microsoft will have a nice payout in that. But that's my prediction.
Love it. Now, I want to hear a big rant from you on this one. I want you to get really worked up on it, and I'll read you what we've got down here. Coders shouldn't be called builders. Let them have it, Scotty. Let them have it.
Oh, I've got to be careful here. I'm still trying to raise funds from San Francisco. People do get really offended. I even spoke to someone that we both know recently, and I said, I don't want to build some crappy point solution. The guy's whole portfolio is point solutions. I'm not built for the tech space. I really should just step away. Look, when I heard the term engineers getting thrown around to kids sitting coding in cafes, I was in Starbucks with like a 2-liter frappuccino or something. I was like, okay, I'll let it go. I'm not an engineer. I'll let it go. Right? I'll let it go. Architects was another one. Software architect. Oh, okay, architect. Show me. Oh, what are we? Oh, right. Okay, blue. Oh, you're on Figma. Okay, you're on Figma. You're a Figma user. Okay, I get it. Then Microsoft conference was called Build. And Satya said, welcome to Build, welcome to Build. All of our builders, the best builders in the world. He said the best builders in the world is here. And now I'm going to welcome Elon Musk. And I'm thinking, he's a builder. He builds fucking rockets. He builds cars. You're talking about his coding background. Oh, anyway, the one term you cannot have is builders. Leave it alone. The fact that you have engineers sitting on cursor, that's enough. You should be called like cursor jockeys or something. Do you know what I mean? But I'll give you engineers. But whenever, there isn't vibe builders. No vibe builders. Kids at home aren't just like, that's called Lego. So, so just leave us that one term. Like I said, someone makes a mistake in a construction site, they fall off a scaffold, they die, I go to jail. That's the risk that comes with builders. The pyramids, unsolvable. What's not unsolvable? Like putting together a pitch on Figma. So let's just be a bit more sacred with some words. A little bit triggered there, Matt.
I'm so glad that I got that out of you as well. And I think I told you this last time as well, but I have a lot of friends in civil and mechanical engineering that get very pissed off that I am a software engineer and I'm also in the Engineers Australia organisation with my software degree. So
yeah,
up here,
they got you to build the website. Build it. Very good, very good. Now, this is your one. You predicted that we're going to see a bit of just-in-time software. And when that term came out, I don't think anyone had a clue what that meant. But you explained it in depth on the show, what your theory was around it. And then also, I think you actually then adjusted your strategy at BuildPass to go a bit deeper in your strategy. So maybe just a quick explanation of what your thought was there, and then whether you think that's a receipt or a regret.
Yeah, so just-in-time software, rather than pre-coding everything and having all of the pathways mapped out, it's about having a LLM or an AI that can essentially write the code for you on the fly to build interfaces that haven't been predefined and to work out business logic that also hasn't been predefined. I think this is a big receipt, because I already see this happening. It's happening somewhat in our business. I'm using other tools where this is already happening, and I think this is going to happen more and more. So this whole concept of not knowing exactly the screen that you're going to get, that is coming. It's this dynamic, just-in-time software that's driven by AI rather than predefined business logic workflows. That's coming. So I think that's a receipt.
I agree. It's funny. In my business and businesses over the last 15 years in construction, one of the biggest assets we've had is I've seen a lot of complex things where a lot of contractors or subcontractors or specialists will tell you it's like $500,000. And I just be like, hey, let's just do it ourselves. And suddenly I just put together our team and we just figure out how to do it, and we just do it. But it's actually on site. It's something physical. It might be bending metal or doing these sort of different types of carpentry or anything. But I'm like, hey, let's just break it down to a group of things and do it. I think you're right in saying the software version of that is here, where you're like, oh, everyone's cruising the world for some cutting edge bit of software. And you're like, hey, should we just do this ourselves? Even if it's an average or shit version. Do you know what I mean? But just, we're now getting to that stage, aren't we? Where you start to look internally at your team and say, what are our internal bottlenecks? Should we just fix them?
Yep. Love it.
This is a conspiracy theory, this next one. That we had some really, really good feedback from a listener on YouTube. And his name was Dwappy. And there are allegations that that's your burner account. Is this more of a true or false or a receipt of regret? I'm not sure.
Well, you don't have to just believe me on this, but I was struggling to remember what Dwappy was. So if he was my burner account, I would have to have a good reason for what Dwappy is. But no, I didn't. What did he say? He was very complimentary, wasn't he? Him or her? We don't
Yeah,
know.
no, it was overly, it was overly complimentary. It was sort of saying well, I thought it might have been AI or something, but I feel like it was like, you guys have got the most cutting edge takes on not this sort of stuff, and I'm like, this sounds like Matt's burner account or Jane. What?
Well, maybe it'll be a plan for 2026. Is more burner accounts because Dwappy went cold. He was there on one episode. He went cold. So I think we need 100 times of
Yeah, we need more
accounts.
Dwappies. More Dwappies.
Yep.
Feel free.
Yep.
I might just call on Scott's burner, and get behind us. Another one was me. I got some feedback that that I was I got asked by a couple of friends if I had a fat filter on. I think it was when we went to 1080p. My face blew up a bit, and I just remember Seinfeld saying the camera adds 10 pounds. I think I'm going to keep that because it hasn't shrunk.
It's just a camera. That's all it is. That's a receipt.
You just have to trust me that in person it's 10 pounds lighter. Also, I think on the weight thing we a receipt or regret that DJI will have a drone that can carry you from work to home by the end of the year.
Well, we already figured out that the robot dog can carry both of us combined. But its next step's the drone.
and mate, the last one was I thought we were going to get cancelled because you said that you had a dirty little habit when you were drunk, and I thought this is it. This was I think I'm going to be cutting edge, but Matt, he's always talking about dating apps and stuff. I'm like, this is the part where the wives tell us no more pod. And you go, I've got a really dirty habit when I'm drunk. And I went, okay. And you go, I buy. And I go, oh, yeah. Domains. Also, you geek. Should have known it was going to be clean. Oh, but just remind us what some of your domain purchasing history on the
Well,
on the
firstly I'll say, yeah, out of all of the things that you could do when you're drunk, I think buying domains is not so bad of a habit to have. So I'm going to put this as a receipt. We've talked about the domain squatters that have made a bunch of money. So I think I need to keep doing it. I just haven't hit it big yet. I've bought lots of domains, Scotty, as have you. You actually gifted me the Pez dot limited domain. I need to get that off you. I think it might auto ruin your name if you don't transfer that over. But
if you get super famous, it'll be a discussion.
True. Yeah, I'll be held hostage. No, out of all the domains that I've purchased, I've only sold one of them, and I was sitting there at the Sorrento Sailing Club, looking out over some sailing boats, and I was there with my friend's dad, who was thinking of a name for his new boat, and he wanted to call his new boat because it was going to be so fast, Usain boat, and so I got him on the spot, usainboat.com, sold it to him for $20, bought it for $12. It's a good markup.
That's tech margin. That's absolute tech margins.
Turned it over in under 10 minutes, got the cash in hand, and I don't think I actually ever transferred it to him either. But so that's
Alan? That's this little nod to the federal government. There's a tax there that's a 47% tax rate up there, and look, I've done a bit of Scotty.inc lately, which my mates have given me a lot of shit about, and the Scotty.bot I've got, which is a good one for everyone out there. Get your name.bot so no one else can ever, because everyone's going to have a bot at some stage. It's going to need a domain name.
True.
But mate, I'm not sure we're going to be able to top that. So I think to sort of wrap up the year on this, a lighthearted show. We've got some parting wisdom, which we might say for 2026, because we're going to need some stocking fillers in January at some stage, because there's not going to be much going on in the tech scene. But yeah, I think that's a very, like, mate, what a fun 33 eps. Thank you for some of the weird times we've done this, and some of the weird locations that we've had to rock up in the hotel room in China, and me missing it because having my tooth fly off from a water carton in Shenzhen in the 40-degree heat. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it has, mate. And from cleaners interrupting our episodes at 4 a.m. in China to having episodes delayed after Benders in Austin, it has been a fun year. Thank you for driving the docket on a lot of these and driving as host. We'll be back next year with a bigger and better episodes. And thank you to the 3 people that listen. That's we'll hope that's
thanks to Nick, Lindsay, my mum.
There's
definitely not my wife.
Yeah.
And Dwappy.
And Dwappy.
And hopefully our producer, Jay, thank you. Hopefully he's still awake. He has fallen asleep until the last 6 episodes, which is the feedback we really didn't need. But yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, safe holidays. We'll see you back next year.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
See ya.